Hello, this is the Story Kiosk, a new community podcast sharing short, true stories written by you, our listeners. I'm your host, Julian. Welcome to the show. This episode is going out into the world on Tuesday, the 11th of November, known in the UK as Remembrance Day, a memorial day honouring the soldiers who died during the First World War. Quite by accident, the story that we're featuring in today's episode is all about remembrance, and I'd like to thank my friend Bethany Henry Gemmell for sharing it. The story consists of 4 vignettes, each dedicated to a different member of their family who has passed away. Everybody listening has almost certainly contended with loss and grief at one point or another in their life, for a grandparent or a parent or a dear friend or a beloved pet. So I think you'll all really connect with the scenes that Bethany has described. So let's get right into it. Today's story is titled Lessons from Grief. Part 1. When I was 8 years old, I read a book I'll never forget. It had the photo of a white spectre of a girl staring at me from a house on fire. She wasn't real. Her image was superimposed onto the home. My great-grandmother passed away a couple of years before then. I have pictures of her, in faded Technicolor, locked in time, in mid-sentence, mid-laugh. My only memory of her is her standing in the corner of her living room, holding onto the cabinet of trinkets from the entire span of the 20th century and beyond, her mind now caged by dementia. If I didn't have the photographs, I wouldn't be able to remember her face. The vision of her is pale. I wonder when I'll become another person's spectre. Part 2. When I was a little older, my great-granddad passed away, following his wife to wherever we go afterwards. My great-grandfather exists in 2005. Smoke breath, green and brown jumpers, white whiskery hair, crow's feet eyes when he laughed. The waves whispered as they gently rushed up the shore of Hornsea where he lived, where we could spend our money on warm, sugary donuts, flashy spades and buckets, and gambling in the arcades. I watched Bambi on his 1960s TV, my nose right up to the screen. His rectangular living room and pink square bathtub. I can still feel him, me on his lap and him tightly hugging me as he cried, "Squeeze to death." It always sent me giggling. I can feel the roughness of his hands as they held mine. I remember the chairlift on the stairs. I have created a mythology of him. I imagined pictures of my great-granddad like images on an ancient Greek vase. For a long time, I believed that he had died in his own bed. After he passed, we visited his home to collect souvenirs of his life. When we ate fish and chips after, I remember spotting the scales, which put me off fish for 10 years. Part 3. You only ever experience the version of the person they want you to remember forever, but you can't control that anymore after death. My nanna is my sweet, loving, strong-willed feminist grandmother, who loved church and reading and the radio and magazine crosswords. Every few months my family tells me more about her. I'm always so captivated by the details, arrested by the increasing depth of her character. Her flaws are not flaws, but shades of her soul. She's my great-grandfather's daughter, and his eyes were hers. Crinkly, brown, glistening. I could tell it meant a lot to her to appear in a certain way, as I only heard my nanna raise her voice a few times, and then only ever at adults. When we visited, she always restricted how much she got upset. When COVID happened, she died, but not because of COVID. Her decade-long issue with her heart finally got her. All her 9 lives ran out. The last living moment I have with my nanna is hugging her for about 10 seconds at a buffet place, saying bye. It was around Christmas. I always wish I'd spent more time talking to her at dinner, because I thought I could always chat to her when I visited at Easter. Roll on May 2020, and my last contact with my nanna is via video chat. To say the least, it's a shock to the system to see a glowing face suddenly cast as pale and gaunt, to hear her voice's chime turn to grunts. Our conversations always ended up focusing on the books we liked and didn't like, and the books we were reading. I didn't know what to talk about, so I told her about the book I was reading, and what I just finished, and what I thought about the one I just finished, and what I hoped for from the one I was going to read in a timeline where she would cease to walk the earth. You want to say everything as much as you can in your last moments with someone, but what is everything? What's your time limit? I couldn't think of anything to say beyond telling her about books, and she listened intently. After 5 minutes, I said bye, because someone else wanted to go on video chat and say farewell. It's a really difficult, daily battle to cast in my mind what my nanna looked like. It's very hard to keep that image as one from the time before our last video call. To honor a whole person's life, though, means you appreciate all their shades, acknowledge all their appearances. Part 4. My dog was basically a person. Hear me out. I'd never before known a dog to burp. I witnessed my dog, Zuzi, burp on 3 separate occasions. Being a staffy, she sat like a person, because her hips were shaped in the way where she sat on her bum, had one paw in front of her, and leaned back on her other paw. I've sat like that on floors. Caramel brown eyes with striking eyeliner. She had lovely lip liner too. Grunts, whines, barks. We thought she always looked sad, which I bet she was aware of, because she liked to stare at us when we were eating food. An orange tank, she barreled at me down the stairs with a gut punch. For ages I had internal bruising. She turned excited at her presence despite not knowing about Christmas and birthdays. We got to know Zuzi for 12 years. I wanted to take her to the beach so she could experience the sea for the first time, and last year I was going to, but she died. She lived with my parents. I wonder if they'll get another dog. I told them it could be good for them. Or, thinking about it, maybe it's better not to do that. Zuzi was practically human, and every human is irreplaceable. Many thanks to Bethany for sharing those stories, in the loving memory of their great-grandma, great-granddad, Nana, and the precious Zuzi. Having relatively recently joined the ranks of dog dads, the last story really got to me. For listeners in the UK, if you're thinking about getting a dog and you're open to the idea of adopting a pooch in need, I'd really recommend checking out your local Dogs Trust rehoming centre. That's how I adopted my dog, who's currently curled up on the sofa, and who appears resplendently in the cover art for this podcast. Absolutely love her to bits, despite her being half crazy. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, if you found something in there that moved you, then please subscribe to the show on your platform of choice. And if you're new to the podcast, feel free to go back and listen to the first couple of episodes that helped us to open this project. We're eager to hear from you and to share what you have to say. So if you'd like to contribute a story of your own, please visit our website www.storykioskpod.com to find out more about the submissions process. If you're not sure what to write about exactly, then maybe a short prompt would be helpful. We've been including these at the end of all of our episodes so far, and I hope you find them useful too. So here's a new prompt to take for a spin. Tell us a story about a grandparent. Maybe something about what their life was like when they were the age you are now. If you don't know, go and ask them. If they're not around anymore, use your imagination, dream a little. We'll draw the episode to a close there. Thank you again to Bethany for sharing their story. Thank you for listening, and wherever in the world you are at the moment, we wish you a good morning, a good day, or a good night. The next edition of the Story Kiosk will be published in just a couple of weeks. Until next time, take care.